Tēnā koutou te whānau o Auckland Unitarian. Tēnā koutou nā manahiri. No mai, haramai ki tēnei whare karakia. A te atua, tēnā koutou, tēnā tata katoa. We welcome you this morning, in the words of William Lawrence Sullivan, to outgrow the past but not extinguish it, to be progressive but not raw, free but not mad, critical but not sterile, expectant but not deluded, to be scientific but not to live on formulas that cut us off from life, to hear amidst clamor the pure, deep tones of the Spirit, to seek the wisdom that liberates and a loyalty that consecrates, to turn both prosperity and adversity into servants of character, to master circumstances by the power of principle, and to conquer death by the splendor of loving trust. This is to attain peace. This is to pass from the drear servitude to divine adoption. This is to invest the lowliest life with magnificence and to prepare for coronation. And so let us see together, hear together, love together. Let us worship, willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and open to connection in all its forms. We welcome together every week. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods. Yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice, together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change the world. My thoughts, my random musings, as I've come to call them, this week, I've labeled Outgrowing the Past, a test of character. Considering the dust-up in Parliament over the bad behavior of some of its ministers this week, resulting in demotions, firings, and the decision by some not to stand in the next election, it is perhaps not surprising that the story of the woman caught in adultery from the Gospel of John came to mind. Before going further, I need to note that New Testament scholars who participated in the Jesus Seminar determined that John's Gospel does not contain a single word Jesus said or one thing he did. It is a theological reflection about Jesus by an early Christian community, not a historical record. And just to make things more complicated, this particular story was not in the original gospel, but added later. No one is sure of when or why or by whom. All the same, I've always been drawn to the story, a very human story. There is one variant to the story. In this version, after Jesus invites those without sin to cast the first stone, one stone whizzes past him, bruising the woman. Jesus, angry, yells, "Stop it, mother!" Think about it. When I read the story, there is only one word that catches in my throat. It is the word sin. After 40 years of preaching, I've come to view sin as a meaningless term. It has become a form of spiritual spam tossed out for each of us to interpret its meaning. All too often, historically, the institutional church used it to gain power by diminishing our humanity, that we might become dependent on the church. An example is the prayer of humble access that used to be said routinely before a communion service. We do not presume to come to this thy table, O merciful Lord, trusting in our own righteousness, but in thy manifold and great mercies. We be not worthy so much as to gather up the crumbs under thy table. But thou art the same Lord, whose property is always to have mercy. Grant us, therefore, gracious Lord, so to eat the flesh of thy dear Son, Jesus Christ, and to drink his blood in these holy mysteries, that we may continually dwell in him and he in us, that our sinful bodies may be made clean by his body, and our souls washed through his most precious blood. I consider this prayer a form of spiritual bullying. It's a power grab, and it's not exercised only by the church. Like those eager to stone the woman, all too often, we are all too happy to dwell on the frailties and flaws of another, diminishing their inherent worth and dignity. Deciding who is sinful serves the same purpose as an ad hominem attack on our enemies in a time of war. It makes it easier to kill them. Killing is much harder when enemy combatants recognize their shared humanity. Let's look at the woman's alleged sin for a moment. It may not surprise you, but adultery is not only the most commonly spoken of sin in Parliament, it is the most commonly spoken sin in the Bible. It made the top 10 thou shalt nots. It is condemned in 2 out of 5 books in the Torah and is punishable by death. Several prophets go on at length about it. While the law and the prophets warn both men and women against committing it, its definition is more one-sided. Men did not have to be faithful to one woman. They could have more than one wife, Deuteronomy 21:15. And even for married men, sleeping with unmarried or unbetrothed women did not count as adultery. Several citations there from Exodus and Deuteronomy. Only men who slept with another man's wife, think property, or fiance could be punished for adultery, along with the woman concerned. But a woman had to be faithful to her husband alone and was expected to be a virgin until she married. Adultery laws were clearly about preserving patriarchy. Adultery not only threatened the legitimacy of heirs, it challenged the convention that women were under men's authority. So an adulterous woman was a very dangerous person. Beware. Clearly, sin is in the eye of the beholder. When the beholder is the system, an institution, or our neighbor, and we are the object of condemnation, it is egregious enough. When we accept the condemnation without considering who profits by it, we leave ourselves open to being diminished in our capacity to become fully human. Since by all appearances, all present here today are human. It is safe to assume we have all made mistakes, have regrets, and failed at one time or another to live up to our own expectations of ourselves. That is not the same as failing to meet the expectations of others. Meeting others' expectations is not what we were born to do. Meeting our own expectations is hard enough without adding those of others to the mix. I submit as Exhibit 1 the high suicide rate among gay, lesbian, and transgender teens. The challenge of our mistakes, regrets, and failed expectations is not that we have them, it is where they live on in the past. When we only view ourselves through their lens, we do the work of those who would use us to avoid their own flaws and failings. Dwelling on them blinds us to the many times we have met our expectations, sometimes at great sacrifice. Accepting them handicaps us in the present and is a debilitating burden we drag into the future, squelching new possibilities. To be honest, I don't know for sure why we hang on to the idea that we are miserable sinners, using the past to justify our unworthiness. I have theories, but the answer may differ for each person. I do suspect its roots are in either our nature or nurture or both. I do know that we need to find the mettle to outgrow our past. To do so is a measure of our character. The word character is derived from a Greek word meaning an engraved mark, as what an artist might put on their work to denote who made it, or a symbol or imprint on the soul. In the 17th century, the word came to be associated with some qualities that define us as a person. The most popular quote related to character during the 19th century was Ralph Waldo Emerson's definition of it as moral order through the medium of individual nature. He didn't always speak all that clearly. So this is to say that character has always been about something greater than self, and included the self as part of a community. Moral attachment means being committed to a set of higher ideals and to acting and, if need be, sacrificing for the greater good of one's community. Robert Elliott Spear takes Emerson's maxim to mean, for someone to love themselves so much that they never think of their neighbors, to blind their eyes so completely to consequences that they can live for the passing moment, this is a very easy philosophy. And the man or the woman who is able to practice it will seem, for a while, to live in the sunshine, a fine butterfly, smooth-going life. All this is easier than to say not what is my impulse, but what ought I? Not what do I like, but what is best for all the world. Not what is the easy way, but what is the hard way over which the feet go that carry the burdens of humankind, that bear the load of the world. Excuse me. Outgrowing our past is changing the focus from ourselves to what is possible for the world. It takes character to do that. It takes character to learn from our mistakes without condemnation. It takes character to challenge the unjust and self-serving expectations of society and its institutions. It takes character to be the unique individual we each are and to bring that to bear on the common good. It takes character to become a dangerous person to the status quo. Let us stamp the world with our mark, not letting our past impede us, but instead motivate us. Lesson B. Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not our truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. My closing words are by Eric Walker Wickstrom. If you are who you were, and if the person next to you is who he or she was, if none of us has changed since the day we came in here, we have failed. The purpose of this community, of any church, temple, zendo, mosque, is to help people grow. We do this through encounters with the unknown in ourselves, in one another, in the other, whoever that might be for us, however hard that might be. Because these encounters have many gifts to offer. So may you go forth from here this morning, not who you were, but who you could be. So may we all.